David John Wellman and the SkepTick and the Converted Man join forces to respond to and debunk and analyze and talk about a video directed at David John Wellman. Next time, if they ever do this again, we'll look at a video directed at the SkepTick. Also, nothing will go wrong the next time. Not that anything went wrong this time. Audio is fine. I don't know what you're talking about. Internet connections? That was fine too. We didn't have any problems. There was nothing wrong at all. I don't know what you're talking about. Enjoy this, whatever this is.
What's going on, guys? This is JustAshleeKeyton. How art thou? Reporting for duty. It's from the good gentleman David John Wellman. So,
hello.
These questions, I'm very interested, and I haven't looked at them yet, so this will be new for both of us.
Hold it here real quick.
We barely got into it.
I didn't mean for that to do that, but I just want to say something before we really get going here. This is I've dealt with some real assholes, I don't mind saying,
right,
in the recent past, and this guy is reasonably nice, and he's also pretty chill. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. So I want to make it clear that I don't want to attack. You know, we can easily make fun of the way he looks right now, but he did a great job of kind of talking about the ideas and not about me. And I want to kind of try to return the favor as much as possible.
Sure.
I mean, the way he looks right now, it doesn't make.
No, this was a great screen to freeze on.
Yeah. I meant it when I say whatever he's on. I want some of that. And actually, same for you, Deconverted Man. Whatever you're on right now, I want some of that too.
I don't.
Look, I don't know what you're talking about.
I have my.
We don't need to talk about all the things that didn't happen off camera.
We won't talk. We'll never talk about.
No, yeah, we always try to attack the arguments, not the person.
Yeah. And if Ashley's watching this, I want to say thank you very much for your cordiality and your friendliness.
Well, he can make the claim that his video was so good it took 3 skeptics to debunk it or something.
I mean,
right.
He can claim that. He can claim that. Yeah. All right, let's watch the stuff.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Back to the thing.
1. Why is there something rather than nothing?
Do I really
don't know.
like that?
Yeah, you sound like that. That's you.
Oh my God.
That's definitely you.
That is you.
How
Let's
would
answer
you
the question?
Before we get to the answer of his question, how would you have answered that if you were a believer?
Well, there are 2 possibilities, and this is the same thing I would say as a believer. Either the existence of everything, whether or not everything includes God, is necessary. It exists because there's some law of logic or metaphysics that requires it to exist, or it's a brute fact. It's just there, and there's no explanation for it. It's just there.
I'm pretty much in the same boat.
Explanations we have for why the universe exists, and those are the explanations we have, or that the Christian has, for why God exists.
I would say maybe nothing is impossible. The idea that we've come up with as humans for nothing is a concept. As a concept, the actuality of having a state of no anything is actually paradoxical in nature, because you then negate all laws of logic, and if you do that, then you run into all sorts of absurdities and paradoxes, and it collapses in on itself. So because that state's illogically coherent, you have to have at least one rule, whatever that one rule is, who knows, one law, however you want to put it, one thing that governs something. So you can't have nothing because it's just not possible. There's an answer for
I definitely need toward that. I did a couple weeks ago. I did a video, Atheism, Theism, and Nothing. Quick plug for the video on my channel, available at fine YouTubers anywhere, and talk a lot more about it there.
Yeah, I liked that video as well.
We're not here to plug any videos. Don't subscribe to the SkepTick.
Rude.
No, it was perfect when he had 6.66K subscribers.
Yeah, you messed it up, man. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I carried on. It's nearly at 10,000 now. I don't know what's going on.
Oh my gosh.
Let's hear how badly he answers the question. I'm assuming a lot. I mean, maybe I shouldn't.
When I say something, I include God. You believe that everything other than God exists because God created it. But why does God exist rather than not exist?
In terms of being the most logical with a God, that is not going to happen. It is illogical to believe
Wait, what?
in a God.
Wait,
right?
what?
Because
Stop. Right. It sounded like he just said it is illogical to believe in a God, right?
I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
let's go back. Let me go back a little bit here.
In terms of being the most logical with a God that is not going to happen.
Right. So in terms of it being logical with a God that is not going to happen.
Well,
Then.
Yeah.
I have a
It
transcript.
illogical.
I have a transcript of what he's saying here.
Okay. Well, that's handy.
So,
that
if we
works.
keep going, he'll explain himself a bit.
God that is not going to happen. It is illogical to believe in a God, right? Because God created the rules for logic, so he doesn't abide by them. It'd be like Sims. They can't speak English.
Because a God made laws of logic, there's no way it would be logical for human beings to believe in a God. Maybe I'm not understanding what he's saying because he's saying lots of word salad. But it sounds like he's saying it's illogical to believe in a God because a God made the laws of logic, so there's no logical reason to believe.
I don't think he thought it through, but yeah, he is saying God created the laws of logic.
And therefore it's illogical to believe in a God. So a God has made it illogical if there was a God.
We agree with the second part of that, but
it sounds like he's admitting that.
What he's trying to say, that it's illogical to not believe in God, comma, God made the laws of logic. So asking why there isn't a God, you can't ask that question. It's just nonsense to him, right?
Maybe he's trying to say that the idea, whether you should believe in God or not, transcends logic.
I don't know about that, but saying that the laws of logic don't apply to God, so saying, well, why is there a God rather than not a God? That's a dichotomy, which is in the system of logic. And since God made logic, no things apply to it that are within the logical realm, which makes his God incoherent. But that's a problem of presuppositionalism is you turn your possible God into an impossible being, because if it doesn't abide by the laws of logic at all, not any of them, then it exists and doesn't exist simultaneously. It can make a rock so heavy it can't lift.
The person who made the game The Sims, you could call them God, and the Sims are the world. That's the world that they created. So they don't abide by the same rules. They might look up and say there's a such language as English. They say, wait a minute.
Kar, Kanu, Daz, Siba, Gork, Dustai,
Army Batar, Glory,
Shaka Fimi Dune,
I love
Brid,
Simlish.
Itzel, Kubabaru,
Growl.
Dag, Bipso,
No, please do one and not two. Please do one and not two.
That's what they're going to say.
One and not two. I was hoping for that bit. Go on.
Ba weep, grana weep, ninny bong.
Yeah, it's from The Sims 1. Never mind. Go on.
Yeah. Okay, so that was, for those of you who thought maybe they had a, complete blackout, that was him playing a clip of The Sims, but he didn't intro it or anything. It's just like, it was there, and I didn't know what was going on for a moment. I thought I'd lost my mind again.
I actually approve of that kind of randomness.
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
That's why you're here.
So,
that is why I'm here.
So, is he likening life on Earth to life in The Sims?
Yeah.
Is he saying that we are essentially Sims, even though we can demonstrate that Sims are actually created because you could go to EA Games and watch it happen?
Yeah, I think he is saying like the Sims could see that there's an English language above them, but they could never understand the English language above them because...
Can I call this the Sims fallacy? And can I call dibs on this whole thing? I want that.
Look, it makes sense if you... No, I can't... it's an analogy, and it's broken.
Yeah, it's an
But if you... So why wouldn't the Sims be able to know English? I don't know.
Because they weren't programmed to.
Okay.
Bipso, Argabuni, Denzim.
That's what they're going to say. All to communicate the subtitles. There's no such thing as English.
Okay, so the Sims are trying to say there's no such thing as English because English was made by the thing that made them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then
They're programmed with Simlish.
If the Sims are us, then we're saying there's no God because God is the thing that made us?
Here's the problem. Every single person at EA Games is bound by the laws of logic.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna ignore that fallacy part of it. No, I just wanna... quiet. What about no? That can't be what he says. That's not what he means. It can't be because he's saying then the reason we okay.
Does he think that Sims are actually real? Are real people inside a computer?
Well,
I'm sure he's just making an analogy here.
Okay, well, I hope so. Because
I don't think he has any ontological position on Sims.
Fine.
No,
well, I'm not 100%
alive
convinced on that.
I'm not either. We're not gonna go down that rabbit hole.
If Sims begin to exist, they have a cause.
Oh no, the Sims ecological argument.
The cause cannot be Sims. Therefore, something. The Sims require a simulator. Aha! Checkmate, atheist.
I stand by. I stand by my Sims fallacy. I stand by it.
I want an atheist Sim that's like, you're not in charge of me. You can't click on me to tell me what to do. And he keeps flipping you off and stuff. That'd be great.
Because this is a world that God constructed. So we abide by the logic that God constructs. But
okay, I don't know why you put quotes around it. So logic then is arbitrary, created by God, and then God changed logic at any time.
Yeah.
Which I suppose that would be miracles. I suspend the laws of reality to do a miracle.
Well, it's not suspending the laws of reality. It's like, well, look at it this way, okay? We know how causes work, or we see how causes work. And every time you have a cause, there's two states of affairs, right? There's a state of affairs where the thing you're causing exists, and then there's a state prior to that where the thing you're causing does not yet exist.
Mm-hmm.
And where there's a need or a desire, or you just really want something, that state of affairs to exist. So if God caused the laws of logic, then there was a state prior to that, causally prior to that, when there were no laws of logic. Which means in that prior state, you can prove 100% that God existed. We can still say God didn't exist because there is no law of non-contradiction.
Right, and there's no any other law. So yeah, you get a paradox, and
then when he creates the laws of logic, he also doesn't create the laws of logic.
You've just described nothing.
See, this is the problem. Well, many problems with precept, but it literally creates a God that cannot exist because your God has to obey at least one rule. Now, many other apologists get around this by saying that God has a nature that it can't go against. And so that nature might be identical to the laws of logic. And that at least places it within the realm of coherence. But that's not what's going on now. So,
I'm not entirely sure what is going on now, to be honest.
Well, the Sims don't believe in God because English.
Yeah, the Sims don't see us through their computer screens, the inside of a computer screen.
That's basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Back to the
But that does not force him to have to abide by that logic. Believing in nothing does not benefit me.
So now he's getting to what my question actually was. Now he's getting to what my question actually was. Why do you believe in something rather than nothing, including God? So go ahead.
Does not benefit me. I choose not to take the time to focus on that. If there's a benefit that I can get from believing that everything is nothing, then that benefit wouldn't exist anyways, because that benefit would also be nothing.
So you choose to believe that there's something instead of nothing for beneficial reasons.
It sounds like he's saying that.
Is what he's saying. So if that's a valid reason, to believe in something instead of nothing, and I'm not saying it's not because we're dealing with the absolute fundamentals here, but if that's a valid reason for you to say that's why you believe in something instead of nothing, then guess what? That's a valid reason for us to say why we believe in something instead of nothing.
Well, and also, I'd like to just clarify that it's not that we don't believe in nothing, it's that we don't believe in something. There's belief in something and not belief in something, because belief in nothing is almost something entirely different anyway.
Yeah, it is. I guess, I'm trying to make sense of what he said. So, why is there God rather than no God? And then he has two answers to that. One answer is, you can't ask that question because God made the rules, and you can't apply the rules to God. And then the second answer is, I believe in God, which has nothing to do with the question at all, but I believe in God because it benefits me in some way to do so. And if I believed in not God, and he's confounded nothing with not God at this point, then there would also be no reason to believe in that, because if there is nothing, then why bother? But I think that's kind of, if the truth of the matter is X, your belief or non-belief is irrelevant to the truth.
Yeah.
True.
And so it might be the case that my belief, if I had one, which I don't, but if I did believe the universe literally came from a nothing, a philosophical nothing, because whatever, and then I said, well, but that belief is pointless because it came from nothing. And so, well, but no, the belief does have a point because it aligns with what I think reality is.
Yeah.
So there is no belief that is pointless. Maybe there is. I can't think of one offhand, but
It sounds like he's almost trying to convince us that one of the things that he could believe in is a nothing, but there's actually demonstrably something. So it seems irrelevant that nothing's even brought up because there is something.
It's possible he thinks that we think that there's nothing, that we're solipsist or something. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Okay.
It does seem to be going down that very path I've seen many times, where it's like, well, you atheists don't believe in God, so ultimately we're just molecules, and then nothing means anything. And it's like, no, things still mean stuff. It's like, oh, well, it's subjective, it's not objective. I'm like, and Anyways, all right.
2. If current trends continue, Islam will overtake Christianity as the largest religion in the world roughly a few decades from now. Assuming this actually happens, and assuming the Islamic God doesn't actually exist, do you think this overtaking of Christianity by Islam is better explained under Christian theism or under naturalism?
That's a good question, DJW.
Yeah, that's a nice way of throwing in a little appeal to popularity.
Yeah. And I just we'll see his answer in a second here, but
explain yourself
right now. I just want to emphasize right now that I'm just looking at this one piece of data in isolation.
Right.
Like the fact that Islam will become ascendant. I'm not looking at anything else necessarily.
Sure. Right. We don't know. I mean, their numbers are growing. I think the last Pew review research group that I saw was that Christianity is on the decline, broadly speaking, and Islam is getting more members, but it seems that that's because of births. Like,
right.
I can't say for sure that there's no new converts to Islam, but it does seem they're outpacing by birthing, not by conversion.
Yeah.
But regardless of why they're outpacing is another thing,
Yeah. And just real quick, for the record, the way I would answer this question, naturalism explains it pretty easily because religions rise and fall naturally. Christian theism can explain it easily by, these guys have just a massive persecution complex anyway, so it makes sense that at some point on a global scale, they actually will be an underdog again. They can easily make that. The problem is, it makes the initial hypothesis even more complex.
And nothing's really going to change, even if if and when Islam does take over, because it'll be the Muslims going, well, we've got the greater numbers now. we always believed that ours was right anyway before we had the higher numbers. So, it just switches then to Christianity or whatever. And
there is certainly a way you could say that it's the end times or something like that.
Sure.
Very much so.
Well, and like Jehovah's Witnesses think that their religion is just as true as any other, and they're smaller in number.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's see which explains it better. Is it going to be The Sims? I'm going to be disappointed if it's not The Sims.
Okay, here's the fundamental problem with that question for me is that I believe in nature, but I don't believe in a world that could possibly exist whatsoever something outside of the laws of that world.
Huh?
That has nothing to do
What does that have to do with the question? What?
Nothing at all that I can
Why did you say that? What? Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to remark.
He lives in the world. You live in the world. You know that
there's stuff outside the world that you also believe in. Okay. Yeah. And
but you'd have to demonstrate that. Like, come on.
What about the question? Answer the question.
Yeah.
Islam ascending and making their God, the main God, or I would definitely say it's better explained under Christian theism. There were so many things that let me read this junk again because I don't even know.
Excuse me,
saying, man, if that happened,
man, what you wrote is junk.
I'm not sure how I could have put it more clearly.
And Ashley, I don't think I know what Ashley's saying either. He doesn't know what you're saying. I don't know what he's saying.
Well, it's kind of a problem when we don't have him here, admittedly.
That's fair. Yeah. But even listening to it a few times, because that's not the first time I've heard that little clip, and I still 3 or 4 times in don't know what he's saying.
Look, if he was here, this wouldn't be as fun.
True.
That's very true.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it would be. I don't know.
You might be even more baked if he was here.
You know what? You keep saying that. I'm going to eat you and prove that I'm not high or baked or drunk. Look, I'm slightly unhinged because of all the things that happened off camera that we're not going to talk about. You can't bring it up.
Okay.
Happens, that doesn't prove that God doesn't exist. So yes, that would still work better with Christian theism because there has to be a God in order for those people to exist in the first place. For those people to have those mindsets, it's kind of like saying if evil things happen, then how could there be a God? And evil would be proof that God exists because there's no standard of good and there's no standard of evil if there's no God.
3. Yeah, so he dodged the question. I don't know if he meant to dodge the question, but he dodged the question. He's moving. Yeah. Once again, the focus of this question was just that one piece of data. The fact that Islam is going to overtake Christianity. And he's introducing other data like moral standards or the existence of conscious states or whatever. He's talking about data that I was not talking about.
Yeah.
So essentially, I'm like, do you have anything to declare in the customs? And he says, it's nice and sunny outside, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
So he didn't answer the question.
He said Christianity explains it better, but made no attempt to explain how Christianity explains it better.
He didn't even say that. He said Christianity explains this other thing that I wasn't talking about better.
Yeah. That seems to be a common thing.
To steel man it completely, like he said, Christianity explains it better. Next question.
I want to go. I want to go like answering a question. Ask me what my favorite color is or something.
What's your favorite color?
Well, sometimes I like to go to the zoo.
Oh. Okay.
That's fine.
I didn't, Ashley.
It's the Sim Ashley fallacy. I'm disappointed there wasn't any more Sims. They should have answered the question. Like, ask the Sims the question.
Yeah, they seem to know everything.
They will understand. I'm gonna download the Sims. Ask them that question.
My wife has a big thing with the Sims. She used to play it a lot. I'll ask her if they know the meaning of life.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the question you asked. You don't even know what the question was anymore.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. This video has screwed you and me and all of us up so much. I'm being accused of being baked. That's not nice. You're accused of writing junk. SkepTick It's the only one unscathed so far.
I'm
He's
drinking
British,
water,
so
so
who
I'm
cares?
fine. Yeah, right.
Screw him. I think he's British. I don't remember. Maybe he's
Oh.
Australian. Whatever. One of
Pick
those
one of the
places.
colonies. It's fine.
Doesn't matter. It's not
Okay.
America. Okay.
I want to finish this sometime tonight, so let's go to the next question.
No!
What, in your opinion, is the most compelling argument for atheism? Why do you think it is the best one, and why do you believe it fails?
That is a very good question. I don't know. Let me think about this. The best explanation for an atheist.
What?
What?
That's not what you asked.
That's not what I asked.
Not what you asked!
The best explanation for an atheist?
Where did that come from?
No! He
I'm not
literally...
asking.
What?
Why do
Okay,
you
well-
think atheists exist? Is that what you're trying to answer?
Okay, well, I guess now we're going to get really dramatic here. Here we go.
He likes doing this. He likes doing like little effects like this.
Yeah.
The best thing that an atheist could possibly have is to go towards the nothing route. Reason why? We can't give an atheist a solid answer when they say nothing exists.
What?
There's no way we can give you a solid answer to prove to you that nothing exists and that we.
Huh?
Where is this going?
Let me try to steel man this. Maybe he's saying that, you know, I've said in numerous videos that you just because you say that we think something came from nothing, that doesn't mean we think something came from nothing. That doesn't mean we think that there ever was a nothing. Maybe he's trying to agree with that somehow. Let's find out.
We aren't all. It's because we are subjective beings and we experience things ourselves. I can't experience something for you. If I could do that, then I could prove possibly that your experience is the same as mine. But you could be saying that and I could be interpreting it a different way. So the best explanation you would have is to say that this is all nothing. The problem is that it doesn't benefit us.
Yeah, no, he's saying that I believe in nothing.
Right. But also, it sounds like he's saying that he's got some kind of personal God because only he can experience it.
But that didn't.
So you can't
answer-
experience his God unless you are him. And
Because
so
it's only, Ashley's
So-
God, no other God.
Not
Yeah.
only did he not answer your question, he did not answer the question that he made up to answer.
What is the best explanation for atheism?
We
What
can't
would you
give
have said?
them that. I guess the nothing route's the best way to go,
yeah.
but it's not really that. So even their best explanation that I'm making up in response to the question that I'm not answering is also a bad explanation. But why not just say, here's the best argument that atheism has to offer, whatever that is, and then say, okay, there's that one, and here's why it fails. Now, well, I guess he is saying, screw it.
So there's no real reason to believe in it, even if it is true. So that's why that fails.
4. Okay, so
Yeah, even if it's true, don't believe in it because it benefits nothing. Okay.
let me ask you guys, to either one of you, do either of you believe that a philosophical nothing exists right now?
A philosophical nothing.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Right.
no, because in order to think that nothing exists, you'd have to be something, right?
Yeah.
And nobody in their right mind, emphasis on in their right mind, would say, well, God doesn't exist because nothing exists and you can't prove that anything exists. Nobody would make that argument.
No,
I don't
that's so
know.
backwards.
I don't think even solipsists would make that particular argument.
Yeah,
So
I mean, even they exist. It's just they can't prove anything else exists.
The
so,
concept of nothing exists.
yeah, the concept, yeah, definitely. So either I don't think he's being facetious here. I think he honestly is not familiar with the arguments for atheism. I think he just doesn't know. And this, we can blame ourselves for this. We should make these more well known.
That's very
Yeah,
very good
I
point.
mean, I have a book called Caught Between an Infinite Hope, Finite Despair. Shameless plug for my book on Amazon. We're not going to plug anyone else like the SkepTick. Don't subscribe to him.
Oh, jeez, how rude.
Do you interpret verses such as Romans chapter 1 verse 20 to mean that God's existence is obvious to all and that all professed atheists are either lying or willfully suppressing the evidence? If so, How do you deal with the possibility that if you're wrong and there are atheists who are not willfully suppressing the truth, you have made their atheism self-justifying?
I would say no. I don't think the atheist is lying or holding it in per se, because I felt the same way. I said, God, you've got to show yourself to me. And I got frustrated even saying that question because I was like, God.
Hold on. Pause this. Thank you. Is he saying he was an atheist?
It sounds
yeah,
that
it
way.
sounds like that. Yeah.
Sounds like he's saying he was an atheist. So he's
Also, go on.
if he was an atheist, then the existence of God was not obvious to him at that time that he was an atheist. And he asked, I'm steelmanning this. He asked, God, if you exist, please show yourself clearly to me. Do you agree that that's what he's saying here?
He said that he asked a question, and you've got to show yourself to me isn't a question. Just wanted to point that out.
Oh, fair enough. Okay.
But yes, he did say that.
Sure. All right, let's see what he says here.
All right, wait. I gotta try something real quick. Hey, God, if you're there, show yourself to me and or any of us right now. Nothing happened. Okay.
Every time I or someone else says that or pulls that experiment, I look around a bit just for a microsecond. I thought maybe this time it'll actually happen. Never does.
No.
Yeah.
There's always that
I agree. Like, I remember. Well, yeah.
I don't think you can be open-minded if that instant of maybe that'll happen doesn't.
Hi! Oh my goodness!
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
okay. Mr. Keaton,
I'm asking you to prove yourself to me, and I don't even know if I'm speaking to anybody. It's annoying me. It really is. And I was very angry. I was punching the wall, throwing my mattress up in the air. I was upset because I said, I am calling out to a God that will not show himself to me. I was very frustrated because I so badly want the truth. And
I can completely sympathize with that because I've been there as a Christian, and I've been there deconverting, and I've been there as a skeptic.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Those feelings are absolutely real. I agree. Why a deity or whatever that has the ability to reveal itself to you, that loves you, would not do that is, for me, incomprehensibly just incoherent. It doesn't align with what those words mean. Loving, able to show myself. If I can do that, then I do it. If I don't do it, then I'm not able, then I don't love, or I'm not able to show myself.
Yeah, this is such a major problem for Christian theology that they have no choice but to place major emphasis on the Romans 1:20 verse I was talking about. You're lying. God does showing yourself to you. You're not admitting it even to yourself. That's what they have to go with.
I haven't read enough Bible to even know anything about that verse, because obviously I'm not. Maybe it's not obvious. I'm not actually an ex-theist as such. I'm an ex-spiritualist. We didn't read the Bible, so.
Romans 1:20 NIV, for since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse. That's the verse that people who believe there are no atheists point to when they say there are no atheists.
Right, got you. I mean,
but he seems to say no. He didn't believe in God at one point, so he's disagreeing with the verse.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's yeah.
So that's interesting. Yeah.
So that's where I thought he was going in first.
But he said that he's just dodging again. Really?
Well, he's kind of answering the question. It's amazing. It's a miracle.
I don't feel like he is, though.
Oh,
well, let's find out.
Yeah.
And I hate that I could possibly be going to church and everybody is lying to me and everyone's brainwashed. I hate that. And I want the truth that bad. So people that say they're atheists, I believe they're sincere. But the problem I have is I don't think that they are completely open-minded.
What?
I
would say I'm open-minded enough to not accept personal experience as evidence.
Yeah, the open-minded, of course, you can always, don't be so open-minded your brain falls out, right?
Who said that? Who said that?
I don't know who said that, but it's great saying.
Probably Douglas Adams.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've also heard, going on that, I've also heard don't be so open-minded you can't keep anything in there. Or don't be so open-minded that you have to fill the empty space with an undemonstrated being.
My other response has been, okay, I'm going to make a claim here that anyone that goes outside in their underwear and dances around in a semicircle counterclockwise as they sing "I'm a Little Teapot" and records this and sends me that video will live for as long as they want without any negative side effects. Now, why
I don't
would I
believe
make
that?
Why not? I mean, what's the harm in believing it? If you're wrong, you just wasted a little bit of time. But if you're right, you gain all this benefit. So go do it. I want my video. Send me your video of you dancing.
There are certain websites you can go to for that.
I know, but but that's the point is you don't believe the claim because I've given you no reason to, and just saying, well, you lose nothing. No, you do lose something. You lose time, you lose energy, you lose some dignity.
Potentially get hypothermia if you're dancing around in the cold in your underwear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but anyways, I don't know. Somebody somewhere will send me a video one day.
Because if they were, they would do whatever it takes to figure out if there's a God. But I feel that they are just kind of pushing against it. Not everybody, but I feel that something either happened, which is probably a small amount. Something happened to where they say, you know what, I'm done with this. If I want the truth, I'm not just going to go off of what a book says. I am going to find it out for myself. I'm going to go in the woods, in the darkness, if I have to, and say, God, speak to me. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm not going to go so crazy and to kill myself to see God, right? But that in verse 28, it does say that he will turn you over to a reprobate mind. If you don't want the truth, then he will convince you even further. He will help you in the way that you want to go. So if you want to walk away from God, then he will allow you to do that. He will.
That's not how it works. That's not how love works. If your kid is walking into the street and is determined to walk into the path of an oncoming car, you're not going to say, I love you, so I will help you do that. No, you don't! You pull him the hell out of the path of that car and you... Yeah. You force it. If the alternative is being run over, you force it.
Yeah. He also said, maybe I misheard this, but he said something about not using the book to confirm God, but then continued to quote a Bible verse.
Yeah. I mean...
Yeah, well, I could limit on, have you researched the Bible at all to see what parts of it are true? Do you know anything about it at all? Like beyond what it says on the page?
I just think,
yes, but you don't think that but hypothetically, I would assume he thinks that this is the most important book in the world, but
sure,
you don't act like it. You don't treat it that way. You're not investigating this thing. You believe it, and that's enough. You don't need to look into it. You don't need to know who wrote it, when, where, who found it, and what location, and what methodologies were used to decide canon, non-canon, who voted and how, when that happened, when it was translated, how was it translated, you don't need to know any of that, because the faith is enough. I've said, it's kind of hyperbolic, but it's also kind of true. When you have faith, the facts don't matter. When you have facts, you don't need faith.
Yeah, right.
I'm pretty sure Ashley would agree with you because he's going to talk later about he believes in God, therefore he believes in the Bible, not the other way around.
It'll make it easy for you. If I want to walk out on a relationship, God's not the person to close the door and say, no, I love you and I want you to stay, because that's not real love. So he opens the door and lets you leave. But that verse...
Oh, right. The other thing I was going to say in regards to that makes it that there is always a exit for the believer They're like, oh, well, you don't want to believe, that's why you don't believe. And God let you not believe. But if you want to believe, then you will believe. And the same could be true of magic or anything for that matter. So the Bible writers, whoever wrote it, was pretty clever in understanding that bit of human psychology, that there's no real way out of that. If it's like, well, there's believers and there's non-believers. So if you're a believer, it's because you wanted to believe and God helped you to believe. But if you're not, it's because you didn't want to believe and God helped you to not believe. So
yeah. And to extend his analogy, or to correct his analogy, God wouldn't be preventing you from walking out the door. God would prevent you from walking off the balcony. Right?
Right.
That's the consequence of what you're doing, right?
Into a pit of fire that God also created.
Yeah.
But he loves you.
But he loves you. Right.
But he also has the power to help you not walk through the door by giving you reason to actually believe in it as well.
Verse just tells me that the evidence of God is clearly seen. I am here. The air we are breathing, it's clearly seen. It's like this. If there's a building, then it's clearly seen that
if you say look at the trees, I swear.
That's what I take that verse to mean. Not that everyone recognizes it. A kid may think in his mind that the buildings grow up out of the ground. So it may not be clearly known and understood, but it's clearly seen. So,
oh my. What a way to give kids credit. Oh, where do buildings come from, kids? Oh, they just grow out of the ground.
Okay, but he almost stumbled onto why the tree / watchmaker's analogy doesn't work. If buildings did grow up out of the ground and into a building, they would be identical to trees, and they wouldn't. And we would go, okay, it's growing. Here's how it grows. Here's what happens. Blah 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 blah. And at no point does it look like anyone is doing anything to make it grow. I mean, there are things being done to allow it to grow. It's gaining water, it's gaining sunlight, whatever. But nobody is doing anything. They're just standing back and letting it happen. It's nature. And they're saying, well, but behind that is an invisible God. And it's like, well, but then there's no way to tell that. So the trees are identical to the building, yet you can see the building builders. You cannot see the tree builder. So the analogy breaks. We know this, but they keep using it. I don't know why.
So yet again, trying to steel man what he's saying. I think he was saying that before he believed, he was seeing the trees, he was seeing buildings, he was seeing the air, or not seeing the air, but seeing himself and seeing all these things that he now accepts as evidence for God, but he didn't accept it as evidence for God back then. He was looking at that time what he was not yet finding. Okay.
And he was also an atheist going to church.
Wow. We don't know that. But can I just interject and just say you're a very kind man, DJW.
Thank you.
You're very nice to him, and I appreciate that. You're giving him time, and I like that.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, but I'm about to smack him down now. So.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad I prefaced that with
very kindly.
Sure.
Yeah.
So here's the thing:
watching the building,
if you're always looking and never finding, always looking, never finding, always looking, never finding, always looking, at some point, there has to come a point where you're rationally justified in accepting that if a thing is supposed to be clearly seen, then we would see it.
Right.
Then in that case, absence of evidence is evidence of absence.
Yes.
There's only so many times you can go on and go, okay, I've given this enough time and I'm not getting anywhere.
Yeah, otherwise you're just making too many
people to notice it.
What I have learned from this is that I'm going to get a planter, some fertilizer, put a brick in the fertilizer, water it for a week and see what happens.
Yeah, buildings growing require a plant. What?
It's understood, but it's clearly seen. So if you're not able to notice it, then you should take some time to figure out the reality of the situation.
5.
Yeah,
A
how much time?
dytheist is one who believes that
How much time we're supposed to commit is the question, because we only live so long.
Yeah.
Anyway,
God exists, but is not all good and is in fact possibly evil. Do you believe that a literal hell exists and is permitted to continue existing? If so, why are you not a dytheist? Or, because I don't want to assume anything, are you a dytheist?
I'm not gonna lie, I've never heard the term dytheist. I guess that's where we dissing God because we evil.
A
I don't get it.
is-
I love how we went from fake laugh to real laugh. Good one. Go on there, man. Well done. Oh, that's it. We're done. That's enough for internet for the day.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Stay
As
tuned
I,
for
as
part
I was
10.
saying, oh yeah, a dytheist is someone who believes that God exists and hates him, or believes that he is evil.
Yeah. Well, looking that up, that would have required Asker.
Oh.
I don't believe that God is evil. I believe that hell exists, and I do believe that it is eternal. Me personally, I do not like the idea of hell, and I don't understand it. I will say that I am somewhat selfish in this regard to make sure that I save myself. Just being honest and transparent, because you're not going to get that from a lot of Christians. Everyone has that, man, if I were God, I would do it differently. And we could probably do that till the day we die. Assuming that since God made us, that he is just and he is all good. Again, there's no real answer I can give to say why it's wrong or evil either.
So that is both profoundly honest and profoundly heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the word justice, the word love, these have certain meanings to me, and I don't know they have the same meanings to you guys. We kind of assume that they do, when you have to go to the dictionary and be like, okay, let's agree to use this definition, right? Because then we're all on the same page. Yeah. Justice, like you go, okay, well, we're going to put this guy in jail for the rest of their life. And you go, okay, well, that's okay, whatever. I think that there's a better way to do it. And it seems that there are, but that's how we do it. Okay, we can change the system hypothetically. But you go, okay, well, not only is this guy going to go to jail, but he's going to be in there forever. And he's also going to suffer in some way, shape, or form, whatever you think that might be.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and he has no way out. Nope, he's there forever. That's it. And I'm like, that's not justice then. Well, it's like, well, okay, you take, of course, we go the Hitler route. Well, Hitler, it's like, okay, here's what justice in my brain would be. And you guys tell me if you have a different idea of justice. We say Hitler. Okay, fine. Everything that he did that caused harm to anybody, he must experience. He must experience their harm, their pain, their suffering. Whatever he did that, however remotely it affected whoever, he has to experience that.
Mm-hmm.
After experiencing all of that he caused, that's it. He's done experiencing all of that. He gets to experience all the joy of that he enabled anybody to have. Now, maybe you can have it be, joy then pain, or you can have it be you experience the joy, then the suffering, then the joy, whichever way you want it. I don't know. But then that's it. And then that would be justice. And then you can say, okay, then something happens to you. I don't know what happens to you after that. Maybe that's it. You now get to experience nothing. I don't know, whatever. But that would be at least justice, because what good and harm you've done is doled back out to you.
Yeah.
Right.
What if you get at least, if hell exists, then you're going to get what you deserve. Then you're going to get double what you deserve. Then you're going to get triple what you deserve, and so on and so on without end.
And it's not even what you deserve, because you might have done good, but the good that you do is irrelevant. You're not rewarded for the good. And in what my system would be, well, you're rewarded for the good, you're punished for the bad. To me, that's just, if it's not, I mean, is there a different so God's justice, his version of God's justice, is so alien to us that even he can't explain God's justice, which means the word means something else at this point.
Mm-hmm.
There's also, he almost sounds like he's touching on dystheism, where he admitted that he doesn't like the hell, because that's essentially that's essentially admitting that his version of a god isn't good, and he doesn't like something that I mean, I'm not saying he's fully dissing God in his words, but he's not agreeing with it, so he's got a bit of a problem with his God.
Mm-hmm.
And he's admitting that.
Yeah.
All right.
And that is where I have to rely on my logic and set my emotional views to the side, because I want the truth, even if I don't like it.
6. Do you believe that the Bible is inerrant?
So we do need to pick up the pace so we can get through this hopefully in the next hour-ish.
Hour, yeah.
But,
yeah, right.
But I just
Concise
wanna say,
answers.
Logic is what tells you. You say you have to depend on your logic. Logic is what tells you that an all-good, all-loving God can't exist along with an eternal hell. Emotional, that's what I would tell you, that God must exist even if it doesn't make sense. So are you relying on logic or are you relying on emotion?
Yeah.
Well, if you had bothered researching and reading into the Bible, you would have learned that hell is an invention, probably with the early church, and isn't really in the Bible. But who needs to do that?
I mean, all I want from all of this is the truth, and he wants to give us the truth, but he needs to tell us how he got the truth and not what he thinks the truth is.
That it is free of error and contradiction. If so,
Oops,
how do
that's
you
the
cope with
opposite
the fact
of what
that
I
there are a
wanted.
list of literally thousands of apparent errors and contradictions in the Bible, and
Oh my God.
only one of those apparent errors or contradictions needs to be an actual error or contradiction in order for the Bible to not be inerrant?
I'm in fast mode. Why am I in fast mode?
You said to speed it up.
Okay,
No,
all right.
you didn't mean that. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're hilarious.
I thought you meant to speed it up. I was like, okay, we'll speed it up.
Contradictions
hilarious.
needs to be an actual error or contradiction in order for the Bible to not be inerrant. If you do not believe the Bible is inerrant, do you think that the verses which promise salvation are not errors?
I don't believe there are any contradictions in the Bible. My belief on God is not.
What?
I don't know every single thing in the Bible to be 100% true. If God wants to show me that the entire King James Bible is free of errors, free of problems.
No, he's a King James only. No, the worst translation upon. Screw it, I don't care.
Because you could run into the problem of there being no contradictions and something just not being true. And there could be no way for us to know that.
Well,
which is why if I put my
there's no contradictions, but one thing isn't true. What?
Isn't that the same thing? Truths and falses and
it's possible. He say it's possible for something in the Bible to be wrong without contradicting another thing in the Bible, which is technically true. That's technically possible. It's a really bizarre take, but it's possible.
Okay.
Belief in a book, then I would not believe in God. That's why I don't make circular arguments based on the Bible. I believe in God because he has shown himself to me because I asked him to. I begged him to.
Wait. First of all, what is he using to make circular arguments then if he's not using the Bible? Because it sounds like he's making circular arguments. He's just not using the Bible to make the circular arguments. That was my first point. What was that second part?
He believes in God not because of the Bible, but because he asked God to show himself, and he did. Well,
okay.
Then I don't believe in God because I just did that earlier, and nothing happened. So now I'm justified in my non-belief, right?
So how would that then convince a non-believer? His story, how would he take that and then try and convince us that there is a God through that story?
You have to just keep asking forever and ever until you die.
Yeah,
I guess.
apparently so.
What you call testimony, I call an anecdote.
Yeah, right.
The Bible has contradictions that still will not keep me from believing in God. But I don't believe it has any contradictions. It could have errors. They say that Mark chapter 16, verse 6 through 9 are possibly not supposed to be there because they didn't know what the end of that book was. And we don't know if that's actually supposed to be in there. There's no contradictions.
I know what he's talking about here. He's talking about
from the way I see it. Every contradiction that I've seen has always been able to be proven. You'd have to.
There's thousands upon thousands of contradictions, but apologists have spent a lot of effort to negate all of them in different, very interesting, creative ways. But they're there. So your question, DJW, was how do you if you're a biblical narcissist,
how do you deal with the thousands of contradictions?
Right. You don't, because you don't think that they're there. He knows, he says, I don't believe they're there. And even if they're there, they're not there.
There's a little bit more to his answer. Let's watch that first.
Yeah. Oopsie.
To show me the specific contradiction, and then we could go from there.
Yeah.
7.
Yeah.
In many.
So show me the contradiction. So we have to be careful about who has the burden of proof here. Okay. Yeah. If I claim that there's a contradiction, I have the burden of proof to show that. Just like if I'm saying, hey, George Clooney's here in the chat with us, I have the burden of proof to support that. But then if I say, George Clooney, please say something, and then you hear George Clooney's voice, and he responds to your questions, I have fulfilled my burden of proof prima facie. Mm-hmm. And those watching, if you don't know what prima facie means, it means on the face of it, or in the absence of any further information that might contradict it. Maybe I have a really smart, intelligent chatbot with George Clooney's voice, or Clooney has an identical twin that enjoys hanging out with us jokers. But we would need that information. Likewise, if I point out that, and this is my go-to contradiction, if I point out that Matthew says that Jesus was born during the reign of Herod, and Luke says that Jesus was born during a census that we know took place 10 years after Herod's death, I have fulfilled my prima facie burden of proof. I have pointed to an appearance or an apparent contradiction. An apparent contradiction is prima facie proof of an actual contradiction. At that point, once you point out the appearance, the burden of proof shifts to the person that you're talking to prove that the apparent contradiction is not a contradiction.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, you see, even though the earth abides forever, also the elements will melt with fervent heat, and the earth also wonders therein shall be burned up. Seeing God, I've seen the face of God, but no man has seen God. But you see, that's not a contradiction, because
he doesn't believe it is.
I just don't believe it.
Yeah, it's almost like sweeping that under the rug and going, nah, that's not there. Just carry on, do something else. Okay. No contradictions here. Let's keep going.
Yeah. I've never heard a good explanation for why the one I just mentioned is not a contradiction.
Yeah, that one's also pretty good. He was like, well, he was born. That's all that matters. Yeah.
So if you believe that the Bible is not contradictory, in spite of these thousands of apparent contradictions, then that's based on dogma.
Yeah.
Pure and simple.
All right.
Such as opening a session of government, sending a Christmas greeting. In many, if not most monarchies, the monarch will.
Yeah, I don't know. Hold on. Okay, sorry.
We could go from there.
7. In many, if not most monarchies, the monarch will every so often appear before the people in the flesh for ceremonial occasions, such as opening a session of government, sending a Christmas greeting, and so on. They appear before their subjects in the same way that any person you know appears before you. And while people may oppose the monarchy, no one of sound mind is in any doubt that the monarch actually exists. Does it bother you that in your entire lifetime, God has never done this? Why or why not?
I would say that God
I hope
has appeared before us.
I hope that wasn't like a slight dig at the queen of my homeland, David. I hope you weren't going down that route.
What?
Just like saying that monarchs, potentially I'm just being silly. I obviously know you're not taking a diss at the queen of my homeland. I'm British. I love the queen. That's it.
I don't know what you're referring to.
Has the queen not revealed herself to you personally?
No, she hasn't. I've never met the queen.
She doesn't exist.
I'm devastated by it. Carry on.
Have you tried asking her to?
That's a good point. I should write to the queen. Anyway, that's by the by. Sorry, carry on.
Us individually. This is the part that I think most atheists don't want to do. Or they've done it before to a certain amount. They didn't get what they wanted.
I think he's fixing something.
If you were to just do this and say, God, I get frustrated, bro. But it's like, yo, God, show me that you are real. Please show me.
Yo, God, show me that you are real. Please, God, show me.
Yeah.
Nothing.
We already tried that.
Did it again. Still nothing.
Yeah. There's nothing going on there.
Is there a problem with the video, or?
No, are you not seeing it again?
I'm not seeing anything.
Oh, God.
Oh, no. After all that.
No.
Oh, did you not even hear that? Can you hear it as well, David?
I don't know what you were. Okay, okay. I had no idea what you were talking about the queen. I just saw a still image of the video. I don't know what.
Oh,
okay.
You asked the question about like the monarchy and all that.
Oh, yeah. You're gonna have to rewind that because I didn't see anything on the. Go back to the way it was before, with the three of us on the side.
Okay.
Do I need to refresh again? There we go.
Is that good? Can you see it now?
Try playing it.
In many, if not most monarchies, the monarch will every so often appear before the Christmas greeting and so on. They appear their subjects in the same way.
So it's not. Oh, God. Just as I planned. Yay!
Oh, wow.
Is it back? Does it work now?
Play it.
That any person you know appears before you. And while people may oppose the monarchy, no one of sound mind is in any doubt that the monarch actually exists. Does it bother you that in your entire lifetime, God has never done this? Why or why not?
I would say that God has appeared before us individually. This is the part that I think most atheists don't want to do. Or they've done it before to a certain amount. They didn't get what they wanted, so they got out. If you were to just do this and say, God, I get frustrated, bro. But it's like, yo, God, show me that you are real. Please show me. I need to know. Come on. Show, what do I have to do? Giving some time to see how God operates. And eventually something will click. Just the fact that you open your mind to all of it, not just limiting to the scientific explanations, but something that is outside of science. You just say, okay, I will give that a chance.
And
how God operates. Essentially, we need to ask in a hospital, is where I got what I got from that.
Well, this is assuming that it hasn't been tried. He's like, oh, you tried, but you gave up or whatever. And it's like, we talked about this already, it doesn't.
One of his original questions was, have you tried Jesus? And I'm not assuming you haven't, he said, but have you actually tried Jesus?
Yeah.
Yes. And then I deconverted. Thanks for, here's my book, we're not going to talk about my.
I say thank you for not assuming that I haven't. You're right to not assume that I haven't, because I have.
Yeah.
So now what? Is the solution just keep trying until you die?
But this is a trick. You're tricking your mind. You keep pestering your brain with the same thing over and over again. Hey, is magic real? Magic is real. Magic is real. And eventually, if your mind can crack, it will crack, and you'll believe in magic. It works for everything and anything, and it won't get you to this particular God. It might not get you to any God ever. but it's not a methodology to get to the truth.
Mhm.
It's a methodology that he assumes works because it worked for him.
What does he also mean by what does he mean by outside of science? Because I don't think he means outside of science. I think he must mean something like outside of the natural world or something.
Well,
because
that would be yeah. The supernatural is not in
Yeah.
science. 'Cause science studies the real world. I mean, the natural world.
yeah, but how can he know something's outside of a natural world if we're going to assume that he did mean
Well,
that?
because you keep trying until
Sure.
yeah.
And say, God, show yourself to me.
God, show yourself to me.
I want to know. That is the reason
I want to know.
that Christians and atheists will not see eye to eye.
Mm,
Not because of the arguments, because
no.
the atheists will not consider, yes, this is real. And to feel that unction and to say, God, I'm open-minded to it.
I'm
All
happy to accept something's real or true if it can be demonstrated. And nothing he said so far sounds even remotely.
Have you tried not believing in God? Like, just say there is no God every day for a while until you don't believe in God anymore. Have you tried that sincerely? No, you haven't tried that sincerely. Therefore, because you haven't seen how amazing and wonderful it is to realize that there isn't a God. You see what I'm doing here? It's the same thing backwards. It makes no sense either way. And it's not because of the arguments that you don't want to think that there's no God. It's just because you haven't tried hard enough not to believe in God. That's why you don't believe in. That's why you keep believing in God. Is because you haven't tried not believing in God. And if you do, then you'll stop believing. It's just so.
So God has appeared before man, but he's
nice.
not going to appear before someone who doesn't want to see him.
What?
Wait.
Convenient.
Okay. So
I really want to see you. Nothing. All right.
That's just that whole thing. That's just a really long way of saying no, it doesn't bother him.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's so. But
Methodological naturalism.
Also, I guess if SkepTick wanted to see a god, which I presume he does, he could just call a god in front of him now. Is what he was saying.
But why can't we see that God? Only he can?
But
I mean, like,
he has the power to prove a god whenever because he wants to see, he definitely wants to see a god because he believes that god is there. He could prove it to us.
Well, no, he can see it. You can't see it.
It sounds like that.
Yeah, well,
it sounds like a
working assumption that God does not exist.
I don't know. I should say I'm going to start playing again. Sorry, I'm going to start playing again. Okay. I know what I'm doing.
Which is necessary to do science. Because if we assume that God exists and has the power to affect results, then we cannot trust any results. Methodological naturalism does not entail metaphysical naturalism, which is the actual position that only the natural world exists and God does not exist. One can assume that God does not exist to do the work of science without actually believing that God does not exist, and in fact, many scientists do. Most Christians seem to be comfortable with the fact that science uses methodological naturalism, and it doesn't bother them. Does it bother you, however, that science using methodological naturalism has been so incredibly successful?
This question is way too complicated for him. I want to skip his answer, but we have to listen to it.
Well, let's just go through it. We'll get there, man. We'll get there.
Does Christianity predict that such great strides can be made by assuming, even for working purposes, that the most important truth in the universe is false?
Well, I'm comfortable with it because science in a lot of ways has proven the Bible to be true, being that in the Bible it says so many things about the universe and the way that we live our lives. Even if you look at the story on George Washington, where he cut himself to see what would happen if he let the blood leave his body. And the Bible actually says that the life is in the blood. So we see certain things in the Bible that science eventually discovered. But the fact that they use this
is one of the main talking points of Islamic apologists. Did you know that Islamic apologists will go on and on about? Did you know? I mentioned this in a video recently. The Quran, if you look at it a certain way, a certain verse a certain way, the Quran predicted the internet. The Quran predicted global aviation. The Quran predicted zoos. The Quran predicted a whole lot of things. This is one of their main selling points.
I been, whenever I look for content, I stumbled onto videos that you can't do anything with, and it's like all this stuff that's happening now was totally predicted in the Bible, and here's how that works. And then they go into it, and they like, here, if you look at it this way, and and it's like, yeah, and people have been claiming this, about the end times and all that, on and off again for like every year, just about, And I said, you're just, no, this isn't true. And after the fact, to go in and say, well, look, this kind of aligns, you can do this pattern seeking. But never has the Bible been used to predict a discovery that we have not yet discovered.
Yeah.
At what point was the ocean floor assumed to be flat?
Whatever. Well,
I know there's a point where we
citation
didn't...
for any of this would be great. Where's he getting this little thing
I
from?
know there's a point like where we didn't understand sanitary practices and stuff, but what, the ocean floor?
I don't know, because he doesn't, like, where did he get, because he got this from somewhere. He didn't make this himself, I don't think. So.
Oh, yeah, without doubt. He's stolen that from somewhere.
It's interesting also, I just want to highlight this real quick. The number of stars is uncountable, approximately 10 to the 22 stars. So that does that, then they are countable, but that, whatever, fuck it.
Idea doesn't mean that that idea is true. I could assume something and still find out certain answers. I could assume that my wife, for instance, is cheating on me. It's not going to be a great parallel, but I could assume that my wife is cheating on me. And I could go look and say, oh man, you see, and I could find out certain facts, and she still could have not cheated on me, even though I found those facts. I found, oh, you bought this guy.
But that's just a problem with you interpreting the evidence the wrong way.
Go on.
I was just going to say that's just him. That's just him interpreting the evidence the wrong way. And which seems to be a common theme going across this whole thing. Well, this is what I interpret this evidence to mean. This evidence in inverted commas.
So doing my research, just because I thought she cheated on me doesn't mean because I find facts that she actually did. Just because they discover things to be true doesn't mean that the methodological naturalism is the correct view of reality.
Okay, so what he seems to be saying is that if you assume your wife is cheating on you, then you can make a lot of conclusions based on that. But it doesn't mean that your wife is cheating on you. But if you assume that your wife is cheating on you and you draw conclusions from that just don't make a lot of sense, that don't harmonize with what you observe and your background knowledge, that doesn't lead you to more discoveries, and it's just you don't get anywhere by assuming that, then we would say that assumption doesn't have any utility. Whereas if you assume it and you can draw conclusions from that, and it does kind of harmonize, then it does have utility. He's right; it's not the best example, but
no kidding. I got nothing. I was gonna try to mix. Yeah, I've got nothing.
So unless you want to, there are scientific anti-realists like William Lane Craig who assume that when science reaches a conclusion he doesn't like that time is tenseless. He says, well, that just means the ontology of science is bogus. He doesn't think science describes reality. That doesn't stop him from using science to bolster his other arguments. Mm-hmm. Go figure. But you can't pick and choose these things. You can argue if you want that the utility of a theory bears absolutely no relation to whether the theory is true in the real world, like Craig does when he feels like it. But you can't pick and choose. Either the utility of the theory has no relation to whether that theory is true in the real world, or the utility of a theory is evidence for that theory being true. And the point I was making with this question is that there is incredible utility in methodological naturalism, and I say this provides a great deal of evidence for its real-world counterpart, which is metaphysical naturalism.
Yeah,
that's the point I was making.
If you were to start with an assumption that was not true, and like your wife is cheating, and then you find evidence. He said it the wrong way. He said he found evidence that his wife was like buying stuff for another man or whatever. It's like, yeah, well, then that's pretty solid evidence that she might be cheating on you, you know. But if you manufacture the evidence, but you just wind up convincing yourself that the assumption is true, but that's very, 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 very different than what methodological naturalism is and how it works. So the analogy is broken, surprising nobody. Oh, yeah, well, back to the video. No.
They can think of. I'll go ahead and say an excuse for why, even if God exists, methodological naturalism would still be this great thing that would help us achieve things. But once again, it makes the hypothesis more complex and therefore less likely from the starting gate.
9. Suppose God appeared to you, and in such a way that left absolutely no doubt in your mind that it was God, and ordered you to commit a moral atrocity such as genocide. Would you do it?
I like this question. For one, this is a contradiction in terms because there's no way for it to be a moral problem because of our view of morals coming from God. So if God told me to do it, it wouldn't be a moral. What did you say that word was?
Here's the thing. He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. I didn't mean to, but I kind of contradicted myself, because if God is perfectly moral and if he orders you to do something, then that thing would also be perfectly moral, even if it seems like an atrocity to us. Yeah, and I could have phrased that question better.
One of many issues with DCT. Hey, that reminds me, I have a video called DCT, but we're not going to promote the SkepTick.
No plugging, right?
No plugging. That's my joke. See, I've been doing this repeated joke where I say we're not going to promote the SkepTick after I say the thing that promotes somebody else, and I'm explaining the joke that kills the joke. Now the joke is dead.
Anyway.
It'll come back in 3 days.
It definitely wouldn't be a moral atrocity to anyone who doesn't believe in God, because they wouldn't have a way to tell me how. Of course, it does sound evil. It sounds terrible for a loving God to tell me to do something like that, or to kill a kid or something. A grown man sacrificing a kid on a mountain, and then there was a lamb. You know, obviously his plan was not for that to happen. He told him to do that to test him. Now, if he actually would have went through with it, then we would have had.
Rose up there, DM.
I think DM's gone.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
darn it. Let's talk about it behind his back.
Yeah. I don't.
Oh dear.
I'm not a fan of this. I don't. I mean, no. I mean, yes, I am a fan of this.
Look into his eyes, John. Look into his eyes.
Yeah.
No. No.
I'm not a fan of this whole God is or isn't moral. I just.
Am I still here? Oh my god.
Screenshot.
Oh my god.
Storage.
Am I still here?
We can't hear you, DM.
Am I here?
I can hear you.
I can't hear him. Oh, do I need to refresh again? Hang on.
I hit everything again. No, why? Oh God, it doesn't work. I killed it. There we go. All right, there it is. It's back. He's back.
I can hear you.
Please be there. Please work.
Can you hear me as well?
Okay. Yes.
I can hear you both.
The video did a thing, and then it died, and he's explaining how genocide's okay if God tells you to do it.
Yeah.
Pretty creepy to me. I don't know. But yeah, okay, sure. It's perfectly morally sound if God tells you to do it. Go ahead and do it. Doesn't matter if you like it or not. If you think God tells you to do it, you're morally justified to do it. So there's that mom that killed her kids because she said God did it. Well, for all we know, God did tell her to do it. She's perfectly fine.
And
Screw
because of
that.
the whole Abraham and Isaac story, many Christians who believe that God is telling them to do something atrocious will do it, thinking that God will stop them.
I mean, God doesn't, so But
And when God doesn't stop them, they're as surprised as anyone that they did it.
Okay. Yeah.
Like that, or to kill a kid or something. A grown
Anyway.
man sacrificing a kid on a mountain, and then there was a lamb.
Yeah.
Obviously his plan.
I can't see the video now.
Happened. He told.
What? No, you can't see it.
See the video again.
Oh God!
Gosh,
why? I blame everything.
I blame everything too. Let me try resetting.
God damn it! This is great. We should do this every week.
No, we shouldn't.
Can you see the screen?
Yeah, I can see the screen. Try playing it.
Him.
There we go.
Do that to test him. Now, if he actually would have went through with it, then
Nope, it's gone again.
It's gone again. And I think he's gone again too.
Yeah.
Oh, it's that exact same place too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Looks
Yep.
creepy. Yeah.
Is the video frozen?
Play it now.
Okay.
would obtain the land. I wouldn't be happy about it. I would definitely
it's working.
question, like they did in the Bible when God told them certain things. I would say, God, really? Am I misinterpreting something? Like, is that? I would make sure, God, you got to show. Like, it would be just like that moment where I had to find out if God was real or not. Like, you got to show me that this is what you're saying for sure. And then if you told me to do it, and I'm not gonna lie, I could possibly have a Jonah moment. And get stuck in the well because he told him to go to Nineveh and he didn't want to do it.
Oh! Somebody! Oh! He needs some milk!
I can't say for sure if I would do it or not. I might disobey God because of how I would feel.
10.
Well, that makes me feel uneasy. I hope that he doesn't think that God tells him to commit genocide anytime soon. And if he does, and he feels like it's really God, he'll do it. Yeah,
if you believe, like I said, I could have phrased it better. If you believe that morals come from God, and if you believe that God orders you to commit what you consider to be an atrocity and asks if you'll do it, the only consistent answer you can give is yes, you would do that thing. And I think it takes courage, at least some amount of courage, to admit that you don't know if you'd actually do it or not.
Yeah, I do. I agree. I would say no. And I think the reason the story is written as it is because it's about obedience to God. It's not about moral accountability or anything like that. The story would have been better if God had said, kill your son, and Abraham said no, and then was rewarded for saying no because no is the right answer.
That would have been a great story.
It's difficult for me coming at this because not really ever having believed in a God, I just find it absolutely ridiculous that it is even a question. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, no is the answer. I don't care who or what it is telling me to do something that I think is wrong. I'm not going to do it. Whatever the consequence might be, I'm just not going to do it.
No is the correct answer, but I don't know is progress.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, big progress.
I guess.
Yeah. Let's go on.
Think of the conceptual problems faced by the average Christian. To believe that a being who committed genocide, killing all but 8 members of an entire species of sentient beings, is worthy not just of respect, but of worship. To believe that one man offering himself as a blood sacrifice atones for the misdeeds of an entire race, and that this is morally acceptable. To believe that the source of all truth and all wisdom allows the vast majority of the human race to live in falsehood. To believe that such an unfathomably large universe exists just for us in these few thousand square miles of a planet's surface. Christians have considered these problems, and they have arrived at answers that are, if not always intellectually fulfilling, then at least intellectually acceptable to them. Why could atheists, naturalist atheists who believe that only the natural world exists, not do the same thing with any perceived problems with naturalism that you might think of? Could they not arrive at answers that are intellectually acceptable to them? Whatever problem you might think of with atheism, whatever you think the deal breaker is, could atheists not think of a way around it? And if
I'll
you
be
admit
honest.
that this is possible, and instead want to focus on the issue of what explains the data better, why should we not prefer the explanatory power of a worldview that does not posit a being who is worthy of worship but commits genocide, who is moral and just but accepts blood sacrifice, and so on? At the very
Oh my
least,
God! Shut up, Dave.
isn't naturalism simpler?
It's like saying,
I can't believe I went on so long with that question. I don't know what I was thinking.
That question was too complicated for me to answer.
Yeah, I'll be honest and say I was going for rhetoric with that one, not actually trying to get an answer.
No,
then.
but yeah.
Oh my God, Dave, shut up. Thank you, honey.
Who wants to hear Dave? Not me. Instead, subscribe to the SkepTick. See how
Oh,
I turn the
finally.
book around? And then
Finally.
But don't subscribe to... Anyways, whatever. All that's going at the end of the video. Okay, whatever.
and my mom is real, right? And could someone give another explanation for how you got here other than your mother? And it's like,
Well, Jesus can because he didn't have a dad, but he did, and ask her.
I mean, I guess possibly you'd have to really show me that I've been completely brainwashed over every experience I've had with my mom and every experience I've had with my dad telling me who my mom was, like them being together, like all of that, my sisters, and you'd have to Spider-Man Doctor Strange me.
If
Oh, wait.
DNA evidence was shown to show that your mom wasn't your biological mom, it could be that, yes, that's true. All the experiences you had with her are still genuine. It's just she's not your biological mother. That could turn out to be true. We wouldn't have to demonstrate that none of the experiences you had with her were genuine. And I guess you're saying that that's where you came from. And it's like, yeah, but it's not an analogy for whatever.
His analogies are all over the place.
Whatever, Doctor Strange. I can't play that. That's gonna copyright kill me.
Yeah.
It is impossible to find another explanation besides God. God is not a technical name. God has traits, personal, omniscient.
Uh-huh.
He is a creator. He has to be personal. It has to be something personal. It has to be something that exists outside of logic that got us here.
So the short answer is
mythological.
Hold on, we're almost done.
Whoa. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me finish this whole thing, and then
Okay, all right.
Sorry. Methodological naturalism. The problem with it is it starts off with a big contradiction because of the belief system that something has to exist in order for something else to exist, that nothing cannot form something, and the nothing can truly be eternal. If you believe in anything that can be eternal, that thing is God. If you believe the universe to be eternal, then that universe is God.
No, stop putting words in my mouth.
Personal, it can't be known. So why would it create us? There's no reason for it to create us. There has to be some type of mind. There has to be, to think of this, to put this together. We cannot be. If that's the case, then I don't trust anyone. I would not even, there's no reason.
This is all very standard.
Researching. I'll tell you the big contradiction. Nothing. And then something had to be there.
There it is.
So, no, there is no possible explanation, because if you give another explanation of some dimension or something, I'll tell you, even if you were to reach in the future and say that something happened to where, something got pulled into this black hole, and there was a space of nothing that,
You're talking about retrocausation
and
here.
formed into this universe we have. I've done some thought on this. It's like there's no way possible. I mean, if someone could come up with this explanation,
You've
that
just
would be
come up with
crazy.
an
It's
explanation.
impossible. The only explanation we have, period, that makes any sense is that something outside, we have to consider something outside of nature.
You have to consider something outside of nature. We accept that nature is the cause.
Thing to a logical explanation that we can possibly get. There is no other answer. Well, thank you. I hope I answered the questions okay, decent. I tried to be as transparent as possible.
So the short answer is no, he's not open to the possibility that atheism can solve its problems in the same way that Christianity believes it can solve its problems.
He didn't really answer the question
again. I'll be honest, I forgot what the question was.
He answered it. He just said no. Well, the question was basically.
Can't we resolve the same? Can't we resolve our?
Can't we resolve the problems in the same way you resolve your problems? And he believes
no. God. The end.
Yeah. He can't wrap it. He can't wrap his mind around the possibility that there doesn't have to have been a philosophical nothingness.
Well, the whatever you think is eternal is God. That's the assertion that really, I think, that makes it like. So now,
why does it have to be God?
Because
why can the property of being eternal exist independently of God?
Because he said that whatever is eternal is
because
God.
He says so.
Yeah, because that's what he said.
That doesn't work for me.
That's it. That's the it equals it in his brain, which is fine. I can say, okay, that's what you mean by eternity equal whatever is eternal is God, but it's a different God than your God because your God has all these other properties. So why call it God then? And the only answer is because you need me to think that there's a God, even though I'm not calling it God. Whatever I think is eternal, if I think anything is eternal, then it's like, oh, I don't know what the bleep happened to get the universe to be a thing. I don't have any idea. No clue. I don't know. Cosmologists maybe will figure it out someday. I don't know. I have no idea. Whatever that is. Now, could it be a mind that's disembodied? I don't know. I don't think so because I have no examples that that's even a thing. But that mind too would have an explanation, and maybe it's infinite regress, but then that's eternal, so that's God. It's always a thing, and under his thing that would always be God, and then it's like, so you can't say that it can't be any other explanation but my explanation, no matter what you say. The end. Okay, yeah, all right. That's not. I mean, look. I'm willing to think that it could be a God. You're not willing to think that it might not be a God. That I think that was kind of what happened with Bill Nye and Ken Ham, wasn't it? It's like nothing would convince me versus I have the Bible, and so I have the Bible. Nothing would convince me, and Bill Nye's like evidence. That's what would convince me. Evidence. Yeah. Well, just try it. Just try it. Go outside and dance around in a circle. In your underwear, just try it. What's the harm? If you try it, it might work. Just try it. And if you get sick, then you didn't try hard enough. Do it again. All right. I hate this.
Well, if I were,
what about you, Skeptic?
I'm just frustrated that we spent an hour and 40 minutes listening to a guy say, "This is what makes sense to me." It wasn't demonstrated once why that's the case. He's just like, this makes sense to me. So therefore God.
Yeah. Well, did you expect more?
I hope for a little bit more. I'll be honest.
No. So let me just make sure I got this. There was no empirical evidence. no repeatable test offered, no valid and sound argument offered.
No, there was. You can experience God if you are just Ashley Keaton.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. If I were making this video, this video like a month or two ago, the original questions video. If I were making it today, I would do a couple of things differently. But, I was frustrated too at a number of points, and I was like, "Oh, what are you doing?" No, and but I want to say, first of all, as I said, Ashley strikes me as a genuinely decent guy. And he was certainly trying, I think, to be honest and forthright and, bullshit free in his answers. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. And second, there were a number of times there, and there were small moments, but there were moments when you kind of saw the gears working in there.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to make happen.
Oh, I think you achieved that.
Everyone. So I'm the last answer to the last question. Isn't it possible that we can resolve it? No, it's not possible. That's not what I wanted to hear, but I got the gears going.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, that's the best you can hope for.
It's possible to resolve, but he doesn't want to. Well, he doesn't. Well, he didn't really, like I said, he didn't really answer the question you asked. Yeah, he answers a different question in my book. He doesn't answer the question you asked. But I get where he's coming from, because I was there, and you're right. You both were saying, this is typical, this is common, and I was thinking the same. I was like, yeah, this is very much the same of what we've heard, and this repeated trope of atheists have to believe the universe came from nothing or whatever. I'm like, no, I don't know what was before the universe, or even if that word, I don't think that word makes sense.
No.
The thing is, like, I thought we got to the T1 point, and I found out recently it's like, no, the mathematics ends like not even at it's before you can't even get to the T1 point in mathematics. Like, you get to I forget what it is, like, but it's not even, we're not even close to that yet, because of the physics and everything we understand breaks down. And it's like, so what do you do when physics as you understand it breaks down? You don't have any answers left. You don't know. And that's it. And I'm happy with not knowing. I'm fine with that. It's fine.
I'm not.
I
hate not knowing.
I
admit that I don't know. I
Yeah.
admit that I don't know, but not only do I want to know, I want to have the best chance I can of knowing the right answers.
And until you know, you're not going to fill it in with, it could be this until it's demonstrated.
I guess what I'm trying to do is like summon some Richard Freeman. Feynman. It's like, I'm not afraid of not knowing. I think it's wonderful. It's a mystery. That mystery drives us to answer the question, and theism asserts its answer. Non-theism says we don't know. Let's find out.
Exactly.
I'm looking forward to the moment that we do know. But until then, it
won't be. I don't know what the answer is. I know what the answer is not. It's not a God that doesn't obey at least one law of logic. It's not a God that is outside of space-time. It's not the God that you are describing, because that God cannot be. So maybe it's a different God, but it's not your version of God.
Yeah.
So I not only do I think there's no God in terms of your God, but your God's completely impossible regardless of what I think. So yeah. Now, any other God? I don't know. What you got? You got anything for it? Or is it more just feelings, nothing more than feelings? Because that's not good enough for me. Just not. I require empirical evidence. God showing itself to me, not enough. It needs to show itself to the entire world simultaneously in a way that we could all be sure. And let us test it, for the crying out loud. And why wouldn't it? Well, because it doesn't want it. And no, that's not good enough. It's magical thinking. So okay. So anyways, go subscribe to Deconverted Man and DJW, David
John Wellman.
I didn't forget your name. for a moment there. And don't subscribe to the SkepTick.
Bastard has enough subscribers.
Screw him. He has enough. Give us.
Except when he collaborates with Gutsy Gibbon. That's something special.
Look, actually, just give me all their subscribers, and pay me money, and don't give them money.
We're jealous of you if you can't tell. We're very jealous.
I'm just staying quiet and just letting all this happen.
Whatever.
I'm just observing.
That's what I would do.
Like a god.
Queen doesn't exist because she hasn't.
Rude.
This is the part where we lose our minds. By the way,
apologies, 20 royals who watched this.
How did the Sims talk again?
Well.
Anyways, all right. Last word for the SkepTick, since I trashed him completely. You've been annihilated now.
I like observing. I like observing. You carry on. You do what you gotta do.
Yeah. That's whatever.
Okay. Well, this is guys. Thank you so much, Deconverted Man. Thank you so much for the idea of doing this. This was a
this was a great idea.
Together
Perfectly. Nothing went wrong.
This had a lot of fun. It was a blast, and we should do this again sometime.
Yeah.
Deconverted Man, your outro.
Well, we don't have any empirical evidence, repeatable test, or a valid and sound argument, and until we do, we must be skeptical of the conclusions.
The SkepTick, your outro.
Man, I can't even think of it right now. My brain is fried.
We'll
That's
go with
the
that.
intro from now on.
We'll go with that. I'll re-record my outro at another time.
Sure.
Oh,
thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you in the next video. I'm David John Wellman, and the rest is up to you.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. Everybody say goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.